everybody, and welcome into this segment of HCAM Sports Talk. Tom Nappy here, and joining us on the show, we have Andy Barron from IFM 101.3. We have Steve Watson, who's just Steve, HCAM contributor, and we have Jared Keene. Guys, how are ya? Some great football action this past weekend.
Yes, glad to be back.
Absolutely. And we were just talking before the show, some big high school games coming up. Over on the Hockomock side of things, you got undefeated Milford and King Philip, which is they're going to be playing in a game that probably will determine that Hockomock large title. And then in the TVL side, Hopkinton, big win against Norwood. They'll be on the road against Westwood and Medfield the next couple of weeks. They are still in the mix at the top of the TVL large. There's a bunch of teams that are 4-1, Hopkinton included. So we have no clue who's going to win the TVL large yet, but it should be interesting as we get down to the wire here. But some great high school football action. Of course, college football in full swing. There was some crazy games over the weekend on the college side. And of course, we had some crazy NFL action this past Sunday. So you know what? Let's just start off whatever game, whatever league you want to talk about. Let's just go around the table. Andy, what are some of your thoughts from this past weekend, which was a football-loaded weekend?
First thought that comes to my mind, the Thursday night football product is horrible. This needs to go. This is terrible. Seriously, guys, what are we watching here? Like, why is Al Michaels on Thursday Night Football with Kirk Herbstreit? He needs to be back where he belongs, either on Monday Night Football or on NBC. How in the world are the Denver Broncos can score 9 points with that offense? Are you kidding me? I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was absolutely just dreadful to watch. This product is terrible. The coaches don't want it. The players don't want it. And the owners also push down a 17th game on the players. This has to go. Why don't they just do a doubleheader on Monday night every single week? I'd be for it. I think everybody would be for it. You do a 7:00 game and then do a game on the West Coast. Monday Night Football has kind of lost its luster, in my opinion, a little bit. It's time to get that back. That's the original show. But I am fed up with this Thursday night product. It is horrible. Horrible. I can't say enough.
I got to disagree, Andy, because I'm really excited for next Thursday's game between Washington and Chicago.
God.
Good Lord.
We were talking about that because we texted on Sundays. I can't. You've got to be kidding me. Washington and Chicago.
It only gets better.
But seriously, guys, what do you think? I can't stand it. It's horrible.
I'm honestly with you.
I love football. I know, just like all of you do. But this is crazy. I mean, it's a horrible product. It's
I'm all for a doubleheader on Monday night because I stay up late anyway, and I would definitely watch it. It gives me something late to watch late at night. So yeah, I'm all for that.
They're alienating their fan base because not everybody has Amazon Prime. Not everybody's going to go to the internet and watch.
That's the thing I hate the most, the Amazon Prime thing. And I understand that Amazon shelled out a ton of money to get that Thursday night package. But, on top of cable now, you need all these apps. What's next? Apple TV is going to hop in there and steal a couple of the Sunday games?
Probably.
How far is this going to go? I'm not a fan of these apps getting involved. I don't mind if they're streaming it on their app as long as it's on cable as well. But I think, you're going to lose audience doing this. And I'd be curious to look into what the ratings are. And maybe we'll have to do that for next show for Thursday Night Football. I can't imagine that it's the same kind of ratings as when the games were on Fox and NBC because not most people, if they don't have Amazon, they're not going to go out and buy it. They got their cable that they like, or they got their other apps that they like. So I think it's going to be a lot tougher to keep that audience going for those Thursday night games. But you know what? It's all about the money. And I guess if Amazon's willing to pay for it, well, hey, they're willing to give it to them.
Just like yesterday, couldn't even watch the 9:30 game. It was on I don't have the NFL Network. I don't have ESPN. I'm tired of paying all this extra money for these channels when nothing's on. It's crazy. Like, I'd like to watch a football game maybe early in the morning, and I can't even watch it. And it's just that irritates me. It really does.
What you do at 9:30 in the morning then if you didn't watch football?
I don't know. Well, I'm having my breakfast. I mean, I want to have my breakfast and my coffee and watch a football game, but I can't even watch it because I don't have the NFL Network. I'm not showing
that. What a shocker result of that game, huh? Giants over the Packers.
Yeah.
See that one coming. Jared, any thoughts from this past weekend of football?
Just some atrocious coaching in the NFL, guys. We've talked about this, but some of the coaching in the NFL is just awful. I mean, Tom, you talk about Bill. Bill is miles ahead of like half the coaches in the league, at least right now. Again, maybe even if he's regressed a little bit.
I never said he's the worst coach in the league.
All right. Brandon Staley going for it on 4th and 2 in your own half late in the game and nearly costing your team the game. Bill would never do that. Come on. That was absolutely atrocious. He's one of the worst coaches in the league.
I forget if it was this
guys,
week.
What are you doing? Like, come on.
I forget if it was this week or maybe it was last week when Baltimore could have tied it with a field goal and they went for it on 4th down and failed miserably.
That was last week. Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Some of these coaches are just awful. And speaking of that, a coach just got canned after this past weekend already. The Panthers coach. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head.
Matt Rule. Yeah, that
Rule.
game was an embarrassment yesterday. Horrible. Just so bad. That game was on at 4:25. Had no business being on at 4:25.
No, it did not. The Panthers, they're a mess. They're an absolute mess. And Baker Mayfield, what is up with him?
He's out for a couple of weeks too. He's banged up.
Right. So I guess he was playing hurt.
Nobody wants to play quarterback in Carolina. It's horrible. I mean,
yeah. Steve, what are your thoughts from this past weekend?
Much like has been said, watching all this lousy coaching across the league makes me very thankful we have Bill Belichick. I know you don't agree with me, but there's no one else I'd rather have on our sidelines. Not even close. A lot of bad coaching. That game on Thursday was one of the worst I've ever seen.
Yep.
I'm not going to say every coach in the NFL is bad, though. I think the Bills have good coaching. They've come a long way. They're one of the best teams in football. I think Andy Reid's a terrific coach. I think
there are some good coaches, but fact of the matter, it's a pretty short list. It's really not that.
Bill, Andy Reid, Tomlin, Pete Carroll. But like Steve said, it's a very short list. I mean,
Sean McDermott.
Right. All right,
yeah, McDermott, McVay, but not many.
So how about McVay? Right? The Rams are not playing good football right now, man. The Rams are.
No.
There's been so many people around this part of the country in Patriot Station who have moaned and groaned about Belichick.
Hold on 1 second. All right. You could point out all the bad coaches you want. What ultimately matters is what a team does. And when you have a team that is not either making the playoffs or getting blown out in the first round, you could say he's the most competent coach, but you know, it's the result that matters. And they're not getting the results. They haven't for the last 3 years. They haven't gotten these results. And for one of those years, they had Tom Brady. And then they let Tom Brady go. And then they got Cam Newton, which was stupid. There's a stupid coaching decision. Let's not forget Belichick's also the GM of the team. And last year they got blown out by Buffalo in the first round. So you know what? The result is what matters. So, if this team finishes, let's say 9-8 and doesn't make the playoffs, I'm sorry, those aren't satisfactory results. So despite the fact he might not make some of these stupid decisions during games, he's still not winning. So winning is the most important thing in this league. So if he's not winning, I don't care what decisions he doesn't make compared to other coaches. He should be on the hot seat at some point.
Well,
Well, that's not going to happen. So
it should. If they have a miserable year, they finish below 500, or they don't make the playoffs, or they go to the playoffs and just get blown out in the first round.
We're not in the playoffs. One game, 1 week at a time.
Well, I'm just saying what I think should happen. He's had 3 years of pretty miserable seasons, and I think he has to prove something. He played a big role in letting Brady go, and he has to prove that he can overcome that and win without him, and he has yet to do that, really.
Would you put him on a short list right now of coaches to get fired?
I wouldn't fire him after this season.
No.
He's on the hot seat. If what I said very early on, I said this is the last season, he gets a pass. If he doesn't have results this season, if he doesn't make the playoffs and have a competitive game, or if this team gets, let's say they don't make the playoffs or they get knocked out in the first round, blown out, next year on the hot seat, it's his last chance. And if he doesn't do it the next year, bye-bye. So that's what I think. Obviously, I'm giving him another year just because he is Bill Belichick. He is one of the greatest coaches of all time. But there's got to be a limit. There's got to be.
You rip the guy so much, though, man. Again, I would take this guy over, again, like 90% of the coaches in the league right now, man. Again,
I don't think he makes the best decisions. I don't think Matt Patricia was the best decision.
You think Bill would go for it on 4th and 2 in your own half, with like 2 minutes left in the game and nearly cost your team the game? No.
He did that a few years ago against the Saints.
Well, yeah,
Against the Saints?
Yeah.
When that happened against the Colts, yeah, but that because he knew the defense couldn't stop anybody.
Well,
That's
yeah.
13 years ago.
Who put together that defense?
Right here.
Who puts together that defense? Who's the GM of the Patriots?
I
He's also the GM here. So you know what? And he demands to be GM and coach. So because he wants that, he has to be held responsible for both roles. So if he's not getting good enough players, that's on him too.
One of the best coaches in the whole league. So,
hey, you know what? If they're not winning, they're not winning. It's plain and simple. And this franchise expects to be winners. And
at any rate, to finish up my thoughts, you can bash him all you want, but I still think he's a great coach. Football filled weekend, like you said, had Milford, North Attleboro Friday. That was a good win. Was at BC Clemson Saturday. That looked promising for like 5 minutes, and then that went south. And then I was in Foxborough yesterday to see that great
a busy weekend. You were everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm feeling it right now. I've got a coffee right here. So
who's feeling it is a buddy of mine. He had Jacksonville in his knockout yesterday, and he's gone.
That's ugly.
He is furious.
why would you choose Jacksonville?
They were playing they scored 6 points against the Texans.
I know.
Come on.
I probably would have taken Jacksonville too.
It's horrible.
It's Jacksonville. You can't trust
They're
Jacksonville.
at home. They lost.
The Texans are atrocious, man.
Awful.
I would definitely take.
I couldn't believe it when I was looking at. They had scored 6 points against the Texans.
Yeah.
So what is it? It's you got to pick one team every week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's 17 weeks in an NFL season. There's 32 teams. 15 of those teams you don't ever have to pick. Jacksonville should be on the list of teams you never pick.
Yeah, but that's like a steal when you get Jacksonville playing against Houston.
It's Jacksonville. I mean, it's a divisional game. If Jacksonville's going to lose a game, or if Houston's going to win a game, that's the game I would have picked.
I stopped picking the Dolphins after I picked them 2 years in a row and they lost. I never pick them again. Except when they play the Patriots in Miami. Then I pick them. The Dolphins, what in the hell is wrong with the Dolphins? That team is a mess right now.
Well, they did have their second string knocked out, and they had to throw in their third string who's drafted.
Truthfully, they should be
one. We're playing our third string, and we just crushed the Lions 29-0.
Hey, the Dolphins beat you. So what does that say about your coaching?
They got a safety. I looked at my phone.
It was 2-0.
It was 2-0 at one point. Like, wow.
And just to finish the thought on the Thursday games, yes, this Patrick was atrocious. I think overall, there's an answer here to stay. Overall, it's fine. But you're going to have some bad games mixed in because every team has to play on Thursday. And this past Thursday was one of them. And honestly, this upcoming Thursday might be just as bad as the previous one.
If not worse.
Right.
It's one thing if it's a sloppy game, but there's some comic moments. There wasn't even that. Nothing to even laugh at.
I'll tell you what, though, Richard Sherman made me laugh in the post-game show.
Oh, he was spot on. Russell has not learned from 2014. Run the football.
Yeah,
Run the ball. Don't pass it. Don't be a hero.
exactly. And I just want to say, I mean, the broadcast itself is a good quality product.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean-
I agree. They've got a lot of good talent on there. It all starts with Al Michaels, of course.
Yes, Al Michaels with Herb Street. I think they're a great combo. I like Kurt Herb Street. I think he's been really good.
Yep.
I like the halftime and post-game show. You got Fitzpatrick, Sherman. It was a Lawyer Malloy, I think, was on there. I think that's a great product. So the broadcast itself is great, but Thursdays are tough. I mean, you're getting teams that are just coming off a Sunday. They're all beat up, and we've run into a bit of a problem here where you see a lot of these guys that are beat up from the previous Sunday, like Tua, for example, one week. And apparently Russell Wilson had an injury during this game that he was playing with, a rotator cuff issue, I think it was. So you get these guys playing injured, and I think that's what is in part leading to these games that are just dreadful. And I have to agree that Colts-Broncos game was the worst NFL game I think I've ever seen in my life. And it's not that it was low scoring. That's fine. But you know what? It was low scoring because there was just so much stupidity on offense. It wasn't that like the defenses were spectacular.
Yeah, it wasn't like a good defensive struggle.
Right. There was one game on Sunday that I'm blanking on right now that was a good defensive struggle. It was low scoring, but it was a heck of a game. I think it was it Dallas and the Rams or Philly and Arizona? It was one
Philly
of
and
those.
Arizona was
Philly and Arizona was a good game.
2017. Yeah, boy, Arizona.
That was it. That was
Arizona's
a
free
struggle, but a
falling
good one.
fast. They're
Yes.
free falling, man. They are just finding a way to lose every game. Kyler Murray, I'm telling you, man, I don't think this guy's got it. He's just, he complaining about his contract in the offseason, and it's kind of starting to come back. He held really held the Cardinals hostage, and now
They were in position to tie that football game, though, and their backup kicker missed because their starting kicker was out. So, I mean, they were in position to at least maybe send it
was
to
a good
OT
game.
or something. Or
it was a good game.
It's always hard when you got to rely on the backup kicker.
One of the worst games this weekend too was Buffalo and Pittsburgh. That game was over in the first quarter. The Steelers are bad.
They're atrocious.
They are really bad.
And Gabriel Davis, this guy is playing at another level. He is so good. He's a top 5 receiver in the league right now. He's right up there.
That makes that Patriots win against Pittsburgh all that much not really impressive.
Good thing they won. I mean, that would not have been good, but the Steelers look bad. They just look bad.
They look like one of the worst teams in football, like right there with the Commanders.
Yeah, Carson Wentz throws an interception on the 1 yard line, and the game's over. It just
Speaking of the Commanders,
You sound really surprised by that, Andy.
I was kind of hoping Tennessee was going to lose, just because they always lose. As Tom always says, they always have a bad loss to a bad team, and it looked like they were going to lose. And like, no, it's still Washington. They'll find a way to lose.
it did for a while. It did look like Washington was going to pull that off.
They are so bad. This franchise, guys, I remember watching Washington when I was, they have had so many great teams over the years. This organization, this is an embarrassment to the league. I'm sorry. This is an historic franchise. Joe Gibbs, Joe Theismann, they just had, Art Monk, so many great players on this team. And to see the way they are playing now is it's kind of sad, honestly, because this is Steve, you and Tom went to a Washington game a few years ago. It's like the home fans don't even go out to the games anymore. It's a home team for the away team.
The Pats were down in 2019, and honestly, it felt like we were in Foxborough. We walked around there like we own the place.
Yeah.
I think during the game, most of the Washington fans actually just started rooting for the Patriots, so they had something to root for.
Yeah, there was Tom. There's a family of 4 in front of us, season ticket holders, and they said they just went to the game because they want to see Tom Brady win last time.
Yeah,
which is fair.
30 years ago, you couldn't even get your hand on a ticket.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the hardest ticket. Even politicians in Washington had a hard time getting seats.
Yeah, you couldn't get seats. It was just like the tailgating there too was just because my aunt lives in Washington. Unbelievable. You had to know somebody to go to the game.
Now they don't even want the tickets.
No, they don't. But it's too bad because it's just so much. Really, there's so much history with that franchise. It's just they've had some amazing teams over the years, but they're terrible. They're just an awful. It's really. I'm sorry. It's a disgrace what Daniel Snyder has done to that team. It's just one thing after another. It's not even Jerry Jones is as bad as Daniel Snyder. I mean, it's just Dallas wins at least.
I agree with everything Andy just said. Yeah, I mean, you guys know how I feel about the Commanders. That is atrocious. They're atrocious. That like how bad they are and how bad they become.
They are absolutely terrible.
And the old RFK Stadium, and that place was a classic. I mean,
awful.
But speaking of the Commanders, how about we get into our Week 6 picks?
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right. Last week, Andy, the champion for the second straight week, 11-4. And we don't have the Monday night game yet. We are recording this on a Monday. But 11-4, you will be the week champion, regardless of what happens on Monday, because we all have the Chiefs. And then me and Jared, 9-6. I was glad to at least finish above 500 for once. And Mike and Steve, 8-7. So we all had a decent week, finally. I think it was our first week that we all finished above 500.
Which can't get any worse. I went 3-11 2 weeks ago. I can't get any worse than that. Oh God, I still have nightmares about that. I'm not gonna win a game one week. That would be bad.
Andy, I got to congratulate you. You were the only one to pick the Giants over the Packers. Nailed it. And you were the only one to pick the Jets over Miami. And you nailed it. You actually went with both New York teams against good opponents. And they actually won, which is unbelievable.
That's like Miami is just bad, man. Miami is terrible right now.
That's like when Steve picked Detroit and Jacksonville a few weeks ago and he won. So that motivated me to pick the Giants and the Jets to win. You know,
well, you know what?
Bad,
that just shows me how unpredictable this season has been.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen. I have no clue.
No.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, we know Buffalo is one of the top teams. We know the Chiefs are, but who else really? I mean, the Eagles are undefeated. I guess you got to throw them in there. The Vikings are looking pretty good, but there's been just so much. You can't really predict this.
No.
Vegas is making out huge this year.
I mean, Buffalo and Kansas City, I think we all agree they're a step above everybody else. I think, and that's going to be a massive game this week. And you kind of got a lot of other teams that I just don't think are quite as good as them, but it's still a lot of football left. But right now, you have to say Buffalo and Kansas City are the two best teams in the AFC.
I would put the Eagles in that category right now, too.
Yeah. Even Dallas, that defense is legit. I mean, they are really good.
Cooper Rush is better than Dak, all right? This is what's going to happen. Dallas is going to bring Dak back, and then they're just going to start losing again. Cooper Rush is undefeated as a starter, 5-0. This guy has earned the starting job until he starts losing. If you're Dallas and you're just, you know what? Tell Dak to take another few weeks off. And I say the same thing to the Patriots. Tell Mac to take another week off because Bailey Zappi has earned another start after what he did this Sunday. But don't rush those guys back because you're having success without them. Bailey Zappi looked great against the Lions. And again, it was the Lions, not a very good team, but you know what? They shut him out. He looked good, and he didn't make these stupid mistakes that we've seen all season from Mac. These bad interceptions, these bad decisions. I like what I'm seeing out of Zappi, but we'll get more into that as we go through the predictions. So let's start it off. Thursday night football. This one is a doozy, and we're going to do a final score prediction to this game too, just for fun. Washington Commanders at the Chicago Bears. You talk about great Thursday night games. This one should be a classic. I'm going to go Chicago 15-12. Jared, who are you going with?
This is the week, boys. This is the week. I'm going with the Commanders. For every bad thing that I've said about the Commanders, this is the week that they're going to win. Give me like the Commanders, I don't know, 24-20.
I like it.
I don't really know why. Both these teams stink. I don't know. Something tells me the Commanders get on the board this week. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Who did the Commanders beat someone in week one of the
It
season?
beat Jacksonville in week 1.
Oh, all right.
That's right. That's right.
Doesn't
Yeah.
really count.
No, it doesn't. This game would have been good like 30 years ago. I mean, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yes. Andy, who you going with?
Oh boy. I'm gonna take Chicago just because they're at home. But man, I might watch like 5 minutes of this game and just probably end up shutting it off. But
Yep.
I'm taking Chicago. I think a 6-3 Chicago.
Nice. Love it.
Field goals.
Love it.
6-3.
6-3.
Oh, that is awesome. All right, Steve, who do you got?
Chicago, 16-13.
Nice.
All right. I could also see this being like one of those weird 18-13 games too.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what? I'm excited for this game. I'm just excited to see what's gonna happen. Yeah, it's
How are
probably
you excited for this game, man? This is like the
I
most
don't know.
atrocious game I've seen.
I think it's just because Washington is so bad. We just laugh at like everything they do. I mean, same with Chicago. And we play Chicago in 2 weeks. No shot they come here and win. That's going to be a bad game.
if Chicago beats the Patriots, fire Belichick after that.
Don't worry, It's
Right?
not happening. That'll be another 30-0 game.
That is a
probably.
game. I don't care if you're starting Hoyer. That's a game you should definitely win.
No, yeah, they're not losing that. Those Garrett Gilbert can start. They're still beating the Bears. I
And
mean,
by the way, the Patriots have a very good shot to finally get above that 500 mark. They got Chicago and Cleveland the next couple of weeks. Don't mess it up.
sure.
All right, moving on to the Sunday 1 p.m. games. The 49ers, they have looked good. They are looking very strong. They are taking on Atlanta. They're at Atlanta. I got to go 49ers on this. I just think their defense is maybe the best in the league. They have really impressed me. So give me the 49ers to win on Sunday. Steve, who you going with?
Going with the Niners. Back-to-back games out east for them. They're staying out east at the Greenbrier. 4th straight year they've done this. They're 7-0 in those road games. I think they'll make it 8 on Sunday.
All right. It's a great stat there. Jared, who you going with?
Niners defense. This team is one of the best defenses in the league. They're not one of the best teams in the league, but they're one of the best defenses in the league, I think, right now. And I think they've shown that. And Falcons are a little banged up. Although I will say, and I didn't mention this earlier, but the Falcons got absolutely screwed this weekend. Absolutely screwed. It's the worst roughing the passer call I've ever seen.
Well, you know what?
They had to play a good game.
Before that, there was a missed pass interference call on Scotty. What's his name?
Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller. Yeah. Hey, you know what? You can't let it come down to one call.
But look who the referee was in that game.
Oh, the worst ever.
We all remember Pat's Chiefs from 3 years ago, right? Yeah,
Yep.
I don't have to say anymore.
Yep.
Worst
Defended his pick too. No, come on.
I am absolutely horrible. How that man's job is just a disgrace. Clearly, evaluations aren't based on performance, because if it was, he wouldn't have a job, and that's it.
No, that guy should have been fired long ago. But
Years ago. Yeah.
there's a lot of people talking about how that was more or less a makeup call from that missed Scotty Miller pass.
How is that roughing the passer? Literally, that's
Oh.
like a quintessential sack right there. Come on, like
And Tom Brady
That's awful.
screws the Falcons again, right? The Falcons cannot. They just can never get away from Tom Brady.
Yep.
Niners, by the way, too.
You know what
No.
it was too? Wasn't Arthur Blank on the sidelines?
Yeah.
That doesn't help things.
No, it doesn't.
When is he going to learn? Don't stand on the sidelines when you're playing against Tom Brady. It's never worked for you.
Nope, it hasn't.
no.
Andy, who you going with?
Oh, Niners. Yeah, their defense is legit. One of the best in the league. And can we just say how good Deebo Samuel is? Guys, the
Yeah,
guy's awesome.
He's awesome.
Man. Just a great. The Niners are going to be right there for the NFC title. They're going to be hanging right around all year. No doubt about it.
I have to agree. I love Debo. So good. All right, we'll go back to the New England at Cleveland game. New York Jets at Green Bay Packers. You know what? The Jets are showing me something. They're looking pretty legit. Yeah, I think you got to give them credit. They beat Green Bay in a very tough situation in London. They are actually looking like they might. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't the Jets. That was the Giants. Wrong New York. But the Jets still won. They beat Miami. They took advantage of a situation that Miami ended up having to use their third string inexperienced quarterback. But hey, a win's a win, and they're looking pretty legit. But I do think Green Bay is going to come around after a tough loss to the Giants. And I think they are going to win this game. I can't picture them losing back-to-back games against New York teams. That would, I mean, I guess nothing can really amaze me with what's already happened this season, but I'd be shocked if Green Bay lost 2 in a row to 2 mediocre teams. So give me the Packers in this. Andy, who you going with?
Pick of the week, gentlemen. Going with the Jets. I like what I'm seeing. I cannot stand this Green Bay team. Overrated. Jets are going to pull it out.
Wow. Could he nail a Jets pick 2 weeks in a row?
You're going to like take me out to eat or something if I do that, you know?
Yep.
Well, we might just give you an extra win or something. But
Yeah, after that horrible Denver game, yeah. Give me an extra win. Jets, gentlemen.
we'll buy you some New York raviolis.
Oh, seriously, though, if the Jets win this game, like how the criticism in Green Bay is going to be at an all-time, the look on Rodgers' face, I would love to see it.
All right, Jared, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to the Packers here. Again, I don't think Rodgers loses to New York teams 2 weeks in a row. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Jets could probably really give him a game here, but give me Green Bay's rushing attack to rush for at least 3 touchdowns in this game. Give me Green Bay here.
All right, I like it. Steve.
Green Bay in a relatively close one, and their fans will still be unhappy that they didn't win by 50. So,
yep.
There you go.
All right. This one should be a doozy. Jacksonville at Indy. I just think Jacksonville, they are beginning to turn back into pathetic Jacksonville who can't beat anyone. I do think this game will be close. I think, these divisional games are like the ones that Jacksonville seems to get their 2 wins a season from. So perhaps they take this one, but I don't know. Jacksonville just looked so bad last week. I got to go Indy here. Andy, who you going with?
The Jaguars have got the Colts number, and they'll do it again this week. This Colts team is just dreadful to watch, really. And I think the Jaguars have beaten them five times in a row now.
Yep.
It's going to be this is going to probably be like another 12-9 game, and the Jaguars will pull it out. So I'm going with the Jags.
All right, Jared, who you going with?
I'm also going with the Jags. I think the Colts are not good. What have you seen from the Colts to make you think this is a good football team?
Jared's analysis is just classic. They're just not good.
They're really not good. Matt Ryan is not playing well. Jonathan Taylor has not been himself, and he's been banged up. Their defense has been subpar at best. What have you seen from this team to get excited about? Michael Pittman Michael Pittman can't carry the team by himself. I don't know. This is a weird one. Jags have the Colts number. Jags here.
I haven't seen
anything. Close, but I'm going to the Jags. Yeah.
I haven't seen anything, but I'm just going with Indy based on the fact they had 11 days off. Steve, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with the Colts here. For Jacksonville, you can't lose to Houston and expect to be taken seriously. That just can't happen. The Colts did beat the Chiefs. But honestly, I think both these teams have a lot of issues to figure out before they're considered real contenders.
The Colts beating the Chiefs is by far the most random win of the year, most random upset of the year.
Yeah. Definitely up there.
It's almost like that was a setup by Vegas.
Yeah, I'll have the Colts beat the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean,
I would have guessed that one.
That was a horrible game. I mean,
28-0. They didn't just beat the Chiefs; they shut them out. How does that happen?
That
Colts defense, look out. Minnesota at Miami. This one's a toughie. Jared, you can start off.
Yeah, Minnesota, Miami. How are you picking Miami right now? Miami's awful. Coming off a loss to the Jets as well. Give me Justin Jefferson for 3,000 yards in this game. Honestly,
I agree.
Vikings by at least double digits.
I agree. I can't pick Miami. They just got crushed by the Jets. They didn't just lose, they got crushed. So Minnesota's been played some good football. So I'm going to go Vikings here. Andy, who are you going with?
Vikings. I mean, the Dolphins gave up 40 points to the Jets. I mean, that's just, and they gave up a safety. No, the Vikings, there's no excuse if the Vikings lose this game. They are by far the superior team. And I think Tyreek Hill's hurt now, too. The Dolphins are starting to go in the opposite direction.
All right, Steve.
You got to go Minnesota. They look like one of the best teams in football. And Miami could easily be 1-4. Their only really impressive performance was in week 1 against the Patriots, and that's forever ago now. So Vikings all day.
All right, Vikings across the board. Cincinnati at New Orleans. New Orleans, they have a ton of injury issues, but they're still playing pretty competitive. Got to give them credit for that. This past week, they beat Seattle, which they should have. That was good. I think New Orleans is a good football team, especially if they get some of these injuries straightened out. But I'm going to go Cincinnati here. The Bengals, they are coming off a rough game against, who did they play last week? Baltimore. Or actually, they lost to Baltimore.
They lost to Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be a little mad from that, and I think they'll take advantage of the situation with injuries in New Orleans, but I do expect a very close game, but I think Cincy will win. Steve, who are you going with?
Going with Cincy. And if it's 4th and goal, you take the points. That's what cost them last night.
All right, Cincy for Steve. Andy, who are you going with?
I'm taking the Saints. Every time I pick Cincinnati, they lose. So I'm done. They keep costing me games. The Saints actually have been up and down, and they're tough at home. They're always tough at home. They put up, 39 points yesterday against Seattle? I don't know about this Bengals team. They just, one week they look like they're going back to the Super Bowl, and then Steve just said it, and then they forget how to coach the next week. What is it? I'm going with the Saints here.
All right, Jared.
I think it's really tough to pick the Saints right now just based on their injury issues. You don't know who's going to be healthy, who's not going to be healthy. Chris Olave now has a concussion. He was like their only healthy receiver. Alvin Kamara was obviously back, but Michael Thomas is still banged up. Can you trust Andy Dalton? Although Taysom Hill had a fire game this week. Taysom Hill was awesome.
He's not bad.
I don't know. This is a weird one. This is a weird game to me. And actually really tough to pick. I'm going to go with the Bengals, but I'm not going to be surprised if the Saints win this game the slightest.
All right. Yeah, this is going to be a close one. The Saints, they have a lot of fight. They really do. Yeah. Baltimore at the New York Giants. Hey, the Giants fresh off a win against Green Bay, which is pretty unbelievable. And Baltimore, they got a big win against Cincinnati. I can't imagine the Giants getting 2 upset wins in a row. So I am going to go Baltimore, although I do think the Giants are much improved from last year, and they are pretty impressive. I think they will give Baltimore a game, but give me the Ravens in this one. Jared, who are you going with?
I'm tempted to go with the Giants here. I think I am actually going to go with the Giants. Yeah. No, I'm going Baltimore. I can't pick a team led by Daniel Jones. I don't know. This guy is he's an average quarterback to me, below subpar. Yeah. I don't know. Baltimore here, I guess. This is another weird game.
He's a solid game manager. Andy, who are you going with?
Going with the Giants.
The Giants-Jets combo again.
Oh my God. Right. I don't know. This Ravens team is they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. You never know what you're going to get out of them. I said yesterday, Lamar Jackson, yeah, he's a great player, but I don't think the Ravens are a really good team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm starting to kind of buy into this Giants team. They look good. They're tough. They're at home. And I think the Ravens are going to have a lot of problems. So I'm taking the Giants.
All right. I like it. Hey, so far your crazy picks have worked out pretty well for you this year. Steve, who are you going with?
Baltimore. The Giants have to a good start, but I'm not sure how far they can take it.
All right, Baltimore for Steve. Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. Is anyone going to dare take Pittsburgh?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Tampa
No.
Bay.
He's not in a blowout. Brady has owned the Steelers in his career.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And I'd be shocked if he didn't own this Steelers team.
if Tampa loses this game, man, that is just horrible. I mean, no excuse. You've got to win this game.
Yes, absolutely. All right. There's one 1:00 game we didn't talk about yet. New England Patriots at the Cleveland Browns. Is anyone going to take Cleveland?
No. Going the Pats.
All right. Pats across the board. Although I think this Cleveland team is a bit gritty. I think they will make it a game closer than people think. Jacoby Brissett, I mean, he hasn't been bad. He's been pretty good for the Browns. And the Browns, they haven't been like the terrible Browns team we're all used to. So I think it will be a game. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I hope Bailey Zappi starts. I think he has earned himself another start. No reason to rush back Mac Jones. What do you guys think about the Zappi-Jones situation? You want to see Mac Jones start in this game, or do you want to see Zappi?
On Zappy.
Steve?
Zappy all day.
It's a day-by-day situation. It's Monday right now. The game's not till Sunday. So you got to see how.
Okay, you went the Belichick approach. Day by day.
One real quick thing. I just think you have to agree. Well, this offense looks better when Jacoby Myers is on the field. I mean, he's really.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's really turning out to be a legit receiver. I'm not saying he's like a top 5 receiver, but man, he looks good. And that throw Bailey Zappi, Steve, you were at that game yesterday. Yeah. Some of those throws Bailey Zappi made were right on the money. Yeah, the one to Aguilar. Catch the ball. It was right.
You know, one thing quickly. One guy who I'm getting really tired of is Nelson Aguilar. That's 3 turnovers that are solely on him. You need to figure it out. And ball security is job security, but apparently we don't believe that anymore because he keeps screwing up and he keeps getting chances. I'm not sure what that's about. But at any rate, he needs to figure it out. It can't keep happening. Take care of the ball.
No. Yeah,
I guess they need to coach better.
Well, I'll say this.
No, it needs to be like the old days. Consequences. You screw up, you're in the doghouse. That's how it should work. I don't know why that changed.
And why did I understand Jacoby Myers is back, but Devontae Parker got like no playing time yesterday, really.
Yeah. Noticed that a little bit. Yeah, he was not on the field much, and he had 2 really good weeks. Listen, guys, if the Patriots
my fantasy team noticed it too.
Yeah, but if the Patriots go in and win this game this weekend and Zappi looks good again, oh man, it's going to get harder and harder to pull him because I think the fans are starting. The team seems to be rallying around him. Seems to be.
I just think it's Zappi time. It's clearly Zappi time.
Zappi time.
You know what? Mac Jones, he's made too many mistakes. He's had a lot of bad interceptions. So I'm not saying it's Zappi's job, but you don't rush. I don't think you rush Mac back right now. Especially, this guy's having success. I think you got to roll with Zappi. And if he wins this game, maybe you tell Mac to take another week off. Really make sure that injury's healed up.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be an easy game, though. I think the Browns have a good rushing attack.
Yeah.
Those guys are playing well. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and David Njoku's been one of the better tight ends in the league this year. I don't know. I was actually really tempted to pick the Browns here, but I couldn't bring myself to it, but I would not be surprised if the Browns gave us a really good game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a close one for sure. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than the Lions.
Although I thought the Lions were going to give us a game, and yeah.
And by the way, what's with all the Lions defensive backs getting hurt yesterday? Like 5 defensive backs got hurt, and one of the injuries looked really bad. We certainly hope.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, we certainly hope he's okay. But yeah, a lot of injuries for the Lions. They got a bye week, so that is
some guys
great timing for them. And by the way, other teams on bye weeks: Tennessee Titans, Raiders, and Texans. So they will not be in action next week. Moving on to the 4:00 games: Carolina at the Rams. Carolina just looks awful. Rams aren't looking great either. None of these teams have really impressed me, but Carolina has just looked atrocious, possibly the worst team in the league. I'm going to go Rams on that game. Jared, who do you got?
The Rams, I think this is, if Baker Mayfield was healthy, I might actually be tempted to pick the Panthers in a weird one where like they're coming off a game where they fire their coach and then somehow win. And because the Rams are not playing good football, guys. I think we can say that, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can't really pick the Panthers here. I think I kind of have to pick the Rams, but yeah, I don't know. That would be a weird one though.
Yeah, it would. And, a lot of times when a coach gets fired, the next week, that team that just fired their coach seems to win.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, with Baker out, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they need Baker out because he hasn't been
True.
great either.
Maybe.
Andy, who you going with?
Oh, Rams.
All right. Rams it is. Steve.
I think the Rams will win, but it won't be impressive.
No. This is going to be a sloppy game. This would be like a 12-9 game or something.
Although Cooper Kupp continues to like ball out. That guy is just ridiculous. One of the best receivers, obviously, in the league right now.
Tough
hands
too.
down.
Yeah, tough guy.
I'd love him in New England. That'd be amazing.
Tell me about it.
Arizona at Seattle. I feel like this is going to be a 48-45 kind of game because in pretty much every Seattle game, there just seems to be a ton of points. I think Arizona is going to take it. I think it will be very close because it's one of those weird divisional games, and none of these teams are very impressive at all, but I think Seattle just finds a way to blow it. So give me Arizona. Steve, who are you going with?
It's in Seattle, so I want to go with the Seahawks in this one. And I agree. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
That's a good point. Seattle, they still play well at home with that 12th man. They played much better at home than the road. Andy, who are you going with?
Oh, the Seahawks. I can't pick Arizona right now. They just find too many ways to lose. And who would have ever thought that Geno Smith would be playing than Russell Wilson right now?
Right.
Nobody.
He's looking a lot better. Jared.
I'm also going with the Seahawks. And I also think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Geno Smith is playing really, really good football right now, which, again, is very strange to say. But, yeah, not much to really get excited about with this Arizona team right now. I don't know. They did give Philly a good game, but in Seattle, I'm going Seattle.
Man, I'm like I've been terrible in Arizona games, by the way. 2 weeks ago, I picked Arizona to beat Carolina. That failed miserably.
Oh.
And then last week I picked Arizona to beat Philly to try to get a game on all of you, and that failed miserably. So hopefully this third time's a charm. But I picked Arizona. Everybody else picked Seattle. So we shall see. Sunday night football, Dallas at Philly. If Dallas brings back Dak Prescott, they will definitely lose. I think they have a better chance with Cooper Rush, and they need to tell Dak, take some weeks off. Keep Cooper going as long as he is having success. This Dallas team is buying in with Cooper Rush and playing really well. And I'm having a hard time picking this game. So let's start off with Andy. You could start this one.
I'm going with Dallas, and Philadelphia's been good, but I don't know if they've really been tested yet this year. This Dallas defense is legit. Cooper Rush is the real deal. And it's going to be a really good game because it's tough to win in Philadelphia, but the guy wins. I'm going with Dallas.
All right. I like it. Steve, who you going with?
I'm going with Philly. I think they're the best team in the league right now. Dallas, if they keep winning and Dak's ready to come back in a few weeks, they may have a tough choice to make. But I like the Eagles in this one.
All right, Jared.
I also like the Eagles in this one. I think this is the week that Cooper Rush comes back down to reality a little bit. I think the Eagles secondary has at least 2 picks. And, again, I also think the Eagles are the best team currently in football right now at this moment. So I'm going with the Eagles here.
All right. I am going with the Eagles. I think this is going to be
Did I talk you into it?
No, I had.
You love Cooper Rush, man. How are you not going to Dallas here?
I know. I thought about it, but I really want to. I do like Cooper Rush, but I'm going Philly just because I do love what they are doing defensively. They're also at home, and I feel like Cooper Rush, I think he's good. I think the team buys in around him. I think he's running the offense better than Dak did. With Dak, the offense for Dallas kind of seems like an unorganized mess. Cooper Rush seems to have things together out there. I think he gives Dallas a better chance than Dak. So, but I'm going Philly because they're at home. Their defense has played phenomenal, and they're just playing really good football right now. Now, the thing I'm not buying into is that Philly is the best team in the league because, yes, they're undefeated. They're 5-0. But if you look at their schedule, it was Detroit, Minnesota, which that was a good win. Minnesota is a legit team. But then you had in week 3, Washington. That barely counts. Then you had Jacksonville. That barely counts. And then you had Arizona, which I'll give them that one. So I'd say about 3 of their 5 wins have been against actual NFL teams that deserve to be in the league. Well, 2 of them, they don't really impress me. And I think if you look at Buffalo's schedule or Kansas City, they've had a bit tougher of a schedule. They each have a loss. So I think Philly's up there. Don't get me wrong, but I think they've had a softer schedule than some of these teams that are 4-1. But I do think they are a legit team and they are a good all-around football team. And I think it's going to come down between Dallas and Philly on who wins the East. But you can't underestimate the Giants because they've pulled off some really random wins against good teams. So the NFC East is surprisingly one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL, perhaps the most competitive.
It is.
I will agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything we said at the beginning of the season with the West being the best and
false.
Wrong.
It's all wrong. Like we were wrong about everything. So that's why people should watch the show for the entertainment value, but don't listen to anything we say. All right. So moving on to Monday Night Football, Denver at the Chargers. Is anyone going to go Denver? And by the way, there's a good chance Russell Wilson's not even playing. I'm going Chargers.
Chargers.
All right. I think everybody is going Chargers.
Chargers, and these 2 head coaches, Hackett and Staley, are 2 of the most clueless in the league.
Worst coaches in the league.
If
Agreed.
If those teams miss the playoffs, one or both coaches will be fired in January.
And what if the Raiders don't get to the playoffs either? Because I think Josh McDaniels is in trouble.
You know what, Andy? Normally I'd say no, but the fact they've already had a closed-door meeting with Mark Davis and the players-only meeting, that's usually not a good sign.
No, it's not.
So, I wish Josh well. He did a lot of great work here. I'm rooting for him, but they're not up to a good start. So we'll see how things unfold out there.
Not looking good. I don't think they have a chance to beat the Chiefs tonight. I mean,
No.
They didn't. I think they're going to get smacked around. Yeah.
Oh, and one of the games we didn't pick, there was just one game since the Raiders have a bye week. We did not pick Buffalo at Kansas City because we're recording on a Monday and Kansas City's playing tonight. So we don't pick a team we haven't
That's
seen.
going to be a great game, by the way. That's in the
Awesome game. I'm excited for that.
yeah, the $1 million question there is, gentlemen, can the Bills finally beat the Chiefs? They have not proven yet they can beat Kansas City. They have to. They have to beat them in order to really, or otherwise, it's still Kansas City.
Yep.
Right.
Games at Arrowhead, without seeing tonight's game yet, I pick the Chiefs still.
I'm very much leaning towards the Bills actually in that one, but again, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards. I'm hoping for a Bills upset, but I don't know. I want to see how Kansas City plays tonight because I actually think the Raiders are going to give them a tough game because the Raiders are desperate for a win, number one. They're also desperate to show that they can actually play and give good teams competitive games. And it's a divisional game, and the Raiders always seem to give the Chiefs a bit of a hard time. So we'll see how tonight goes. But that Buffalo-Kansas City game, very much looking forward to it. But we are out of time. So real quickly, any final thoughts? We'll start off with Jared.
Guys, we're just talking about it. It's crazy how the NFC East has gone from maybe one of the worst divisions in football to probably now one of the best. Again, the Commanders are atrocious, but that's just crazy. Obviously Dally Phyllis is going to be a great game this weekend. And
All right, Steve.
Lots of good football on tap. Things are starting to heat up. Hockey season starts this week. Bruins start on Wednesday.
Bruins.
And Washington, it's a great time of the year. So enjoy it.
Absolutely. Andy, any final thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to mention the baseball playoffs real quickly. What a classic win by Cleveland over Tampa Bay in 15 innings. Just absolutely incredible. I'm starting to buy into this Cleveland team a little bit. I mean, if you've been following the playoffs, what a disastrous end of the season for the Mets. I mean, I liked the new playoff. I got to admit, I thought it was pretty good, the best of three. But what a win for Cleveland. And wouldn't that be something if which is probably going to be Terry Francona's last year if he's able to win another world championship?
That would be pretty tremendous, but we shall see. As far as I have mixed feelings about the new playoff system. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I just think like it's such a disadvantage to have that 3-game series burn through 3 pitchers and then go into the next round. I don't know. I feel like it's a little much, but
you know what? 3 road teams won.
Right.
I give them credit. I just liked it. It was better than I thought.
Absolutely. All right. Well, my final thoughts is tune into Hiller Sports all week long. There's some great games. We're going to have a few of the senior nights as well. Field hockey senior night. And I believe it is on Tuesday tomorrow, and girls soccer on Wednesday. So tune in to Hiller Sports all season long to find out our upcoming broadcast schedule. You could head over to hcam.tv. But we are out of time. So for Andy Barron, Jared Keene, Steve Watson, I'm Tom Nappy. Thank you. Take care. Be well. We'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everybody.